Get a move on, and now you see law enforcement, ooh, and it bumps right into the vehicle.
Welcome to Viral Twist. A reckless driver got boxed in. Cops ran up to end it, but nope, she hit the gas, ripped off a bumper, and zoomed away.
There was some heavy traffic around this vehicle. Now you see some there in the moment, working on getting you an exact location of where this is happening and what the want is in this particular case. But right now you see spare traffic at the moment right now as LAPD maintains an eye. Seeing it and go in and out of traffic right now. This is where it's been more congested, a little bit tighter right now here on the interstate. It seems like it looked like Overkill Drive was the marker. You see a patrol car, a law enforcement vehicle right there on the top right corner of the screen, and nowhere for this car to go at the moment. Normally, in other pursuits, we've seen things get really tight. Now it's side by side with this vehicle right now. You normally don't see a situation like this. It's hard to tell if stopping, perhaps even having a conversation, but the law enforcement vehicle there on the right side, not even lowering the window or anything else, just weaving on through here, nowhere to go. You're boxed in, essentially, at this point. Now just waiting for traffic to get a move on. And now you see law enforcement, ooh, and it bumps right into the vehicle, rips off the front end of that car as you saw 4 officers race up to it, and then it just takes off. So we have a damaged vehicle that was standing still in the middle of traffic, and now off to the races for this pursuit suspect in traffic here. It pinned down, seemed like, to the point where you had LAPD officers running up to the vehicle, seemingly having this under control and perhaps putting an end to this. And now we've entered a second phase here where this suspect, who again was wanted for reckless driving, is now in the middle of a pursuit where you've already damaged one car. Fortunately, haven't run into anybody or any other vehicles at this moment, but it speaks to the recklessness now on the opposite side of the road, going against traffic, and this is particularly dangerous. I mean, my goodness, you have here blending into the rest of traffic, just cutting cars off left and right and moving in and out. I mean, obviously normally we'd be able to tell you if and how fast they are going, but you can tell already the recklessness and the potential endangerment of others has already skyrocketed to the top. Window almost seems like it's down, but once again, we're only seeing the driver, unsure if there's anybody else in this vehicle or if it's just the one person. But LAPD has been in pursuit of this. We're keeping an eye on this situation. We broke in just a few minutes ago, right around 3:20, if not a little bit beforehand. In the more congested areas, that's where we hit our first rough spot. And now with traffic existent but not overly complicated, typically in these pursuit situations, you'll see the suspect keep the weaving of traffic going through, and they're right on the shoulder, just trying to avoid cars at all costs and trying to get away. But you know, we have the video overhead. LAPD presumably has their own chopper overhead, keeping an eye on this as well. But notice we're not really seeing any LAPD patrol cars directly behind or coming up to this vehicle at the moment. Hard to tell if they're only in tracking mode right now. Pardon me. But this has already escalated to a point where we're beyond just keeping an eye and hoping for the best in this situation. Again, we're on surface streets right now. There's a Ralph's there on the corner, car turning off to the right. The trees are going to obstruct the view for just a hair, but it is tight. You see it there squeezing between parked cars and other vehicles on the road. But when I mentioned that this already escalated beyond a point of concern is that normally you would be hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. But when there was a moment just a couple of minutes ago, this car trapped between 4 to 5 cars directly next to another law enforcement vehicle, it wasn't moving. In fact, there was no place for this suspect to go. You saw a 2, if not 4, when we zoomed out it was 4, but 2 just popping into frame right to left, officers sprinting up to this black car, seemingly trying to arrest the suspect or at least bring this situation to a close, and then all of a sudden it just rips off the front end of another car. And for a second there, I thought I saw an arm on the passenger side, and it does look like there's 2 people in the car. There's some arms moving. We're zoomed in here. So obviously the driver's there, window partially down, and window down on the opposite side as well, on the driver's passenger side. It looked like there was somebody else. We're driving through a parking lot right now. This is zoomed out at the moment for you to give you a better look at what's going on. But my goodness, I mean, you're already talking about a situation that's escalated where the driver has really just just turned it up a notch, for lack of a better phrase, lack of a better word right now. I mean, at this moment, there was a point where we thought this suspect was going to start driving onto the freeway. Instead, we're still monitoring here on surface roads, veering into opposite traffic for a hair, but for the most part, just kind of sticking it here, you know, making the occasional right turn, left turn, weaving through traffic. And you know, I keep going back to normally or typically in these situations. I mean, we see it with pursuits often, where even if you right now see there's no LAPD, we know LAPD is pursuing this suspect, but you don't see those vehicles directly behind or even at sort of a trailing distance. So perhaps they're in tracking mode, but they know what's going on in this case, especially after the aforementioned moment where you've ripped off the front end of a standstill car and then almost ran into 4 officers or 2 officers getting directly up to the vehicle and driver's side here. So once again, just to reset here, as it's 3:30 in the afternoon, we've broken into programming to give you some breaking news. So this can be a bit of a chaotic situation, as it typically is within high-speed pursuits. LAPD is after this suspect right now. The want, we're told, is for reckless driving, which almost became a self-fulfilling prophecy live on air when it ripped off the front end of a different car. At the moment, we know there's the driver, obviously, but when we were zooming in a little bit earlier from SkyCal, again, this is live, and this is once again caught in a similar situation to what happened before. It's at the bottom of your screen, just above the lower third. Right there's the vehicle where there's a bunch of traffic and a lot of cars sort of turn into a pursuit because of the hit and run, and producers telling me in our ear. So again, fluid situation, but it was a tracking situation, and now it's a full-on pursuit after that hit and run where it ran into the front end of a vehicle that was in the middle of standstill traffic and ripped off its front end. So right now, we are keeping an eye on this. Not much traffic in the way, but still on these surface streets. Now, going back to the point I was trying to make a little bit earlier is that when you see, and we asked this of Dave Avila and other experts that we have on the air from time to time, is what happens in situations like these where you have officers tracking and pursuing, but the vehicle is not going up on the highway or going 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. Sometimes they tend to think that this is a suspect that is just trying to stick in an area that they know, trying to stick in a part of town where they're trying to get away, but obviously, we understand at this point, veering here into the opposite side of traffic, and this is where the big concern is, right? Where you have so many vehicles coming left and right, and you know, it's one thing. It makes it a little easier to try and keep track of the vehicles, or not the vehicles, pardon me. The buildings are getting in the way here a little bit of trying to maintain an eye on this vehicle.